Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first official long form video. I know I've posted some of my TikToks over to YouTube that have been long enough to be considered long form content, but this is it. This is the first time I'm truly sitting down by myself, not on TikTok. It's like a true YouTube video, and we're gonna have some fun. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been wanting to post long form content for a while. It's really just a time constraint at this point in my life. I just have trouble finding like an hour or two every week to just sit down and make one of these videos, but I'm going to try my best. A video a week is probably unlikely, so I'm going to say new episodes whenever I feel like it right now, and maybe going forward, maybe if the demand is there, I'll get to finding time and posting more. But welcome. If you like this video, if you guys want to see more, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that jazz. It obviously helps me and my channel grow. But we're going to have some fun today. We're going to do tennis today. We're going to do tennis content today. I know I'm a movie content creator. Typically, I've been posting tennis videos here and there, but my first true long form video, we're going to have some fun and we're going to talk tennis. We're going to talk the 10 greatest tennis matches of all time, the 10 greatest men's tennis matches of all time. Let me be specific there. I was listening to Served with Andy Roddick yesterday. He and his co-hosts counted down their top 10 tennis matches of all time. I liked their list. I disagreed with their list here and there. A couple of the same matches will appear on my list in different orders. A couple of matches that they did not mention will appear on my list. So I listened to their episode. I sat down. I kind of compiled a list of 15 to 20 tennis matches that I thought could all be considered one of the 10 greatest. And then I kind of ordered them in no particular way. There was no criteria. This is mostly just as a tennis fan, as a tennis player, as a tennis viewer. These are what I think are the best tennis matches, the highest quality tennis matches we've ever seen. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. I know I typically would just get right into my ranking, but I want to mention a couple big tennis matches that did not quite make this list. First and foremost, we have Djokovic beating Wawrinka, 2013 Australian Open fourth round. Unbelievable match, unbelievable shot making, unbelievable power from the two of them. Wawrinka just smacking backhands. Unbelievable showing of tennis from the two of them. Some of the highest level of tennis at the Australian Open that we will ever see. I also want to shout out the 2007 Wimbledon final. Roger Federer beating Rafael Nadal to win his fifth straight Wimbledon title. Unbelievable run, unbelievable conclusion to his, 5 straight Wimbledon run. One of the greatest tennis matches ever. And then more recently, I want to shout out Rafa beating Medvedev in the Australian Open final. The miracle in Melbourne, as a lot of people are calling it. That 2-set unbelievable comeback, 2-set and a break down unbelievable comeback. So those are 3 tennis matches. I wanted to give you guys an honorable mention, but now we're getting into it. Now we're going to talk the 10 greatest tennis matches of all time, as it says, according to George Carmi. I'm very excited about this. I love talking tennis. Obviously, I love talking movies. And of course, I'm going to try post more long form content, whether it be movies or tennis, or both. Maybe in the future, we'll find a video where we can kind of merge the two. But let's get into it. At number 10, I have Rafael Nadal beating Fernando Verdasco in the Australian Open semifinals in 2009. 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 6-7, 6-4. Unbelievable match. Verdasco throwing the bathtub, not even the kitchen sink. Verdasco throwing the bathtub at Rafael Nadal. You have to remember, this is 2009, the first major of 2009. Rafael Nadal is coming off a Wimbledon title. He's coming off an Olympic gold medal. He is the best player in the world at this point. And he is taking everything from Fernando Verdasco. One of the most unbelievable displays of just sheer power that I've ever seen in a tennis match. This is a match that famously ended on a double fault, which is just the worst way a match could end. We saw that happen with Djokovic in 2013 at the French Open against Rafa. That also ended in a double fault. But you got to feel for Verdasco. I think if Verdasco had been able to pull out this W, this match could have been higher on my list, because you have to understand, He beat Joe Wilfred Tsonga in the quarterfinals before this match. He made the finals the previous year. He beat Andy Murray on his way to that semifinal run. Andy Murray in a tough 5-set match, 2-6, 6-1, 1-6, 6-3, 6-4. So he was playing some of the best tennis of his life. Unfortunately, he got stopped by Rafael Nadal, the number 1 seed, the best player in the world at this point, and it was an unbelievable match. Rafa, again, famously cried at the end of this match. This was such a physical beatdown for him, which makes the next match in this tournament, which you may see on this list, even more fucking impressive. But that's number 10, Rafael Nadal defeating Fernando Verdasco, 2009 Australian Open semifinal. Number 8, we have Pete Sampras defeating Andre Agassi, 2001 Australian Open quarterfinal, 6-7, 7-6, 7-6, 7-6. This will be, spoiler alert, the only non-5-set match that you're going to see on this list. This is the only 4-set match that you will see on this list. It's so hard compiling this list because I did have other 4-set matches that I think could have been worthy of that top 10 spot, but it's so tough to compare a 5-set grind like the 2009 Wimbledon final that gets to 16-14 in the 5th to a 4-set match. But this is a 4-set match that went 4 tiebreaks. Sampras and Agassi just playing for everything under the lights, showcasing some of the highest quality of tennis, some of the highest quality of serving and volleying we've seen from Sampras in his career, some of the greatest returning that Agassi has shown in his career. It was the two of them. I don't know if I would say at their absolute best, but it was two of them at near the top of their powers, just giving us the greatest, in my opinion, 4-set tennis match of all time. Of course, Sampras goes on to beat Safin in the semis. He goes on to lose to Hewitt in the finals. Quite embarrassingly, might I add. He loses to Hewitt in the final 6-7, 1-1. But, he's got to be tired at that age after that 4-set grind with Agassi and then that 3-set grind with Safin in the semis. But the best, in my opinion, 4-set tennis match of all time. At number 8, I mentioned it before, and it is on this list, of course. Could be higher, honestly. It was so tough. I had my list of 10. It was so tough to order them in a way that I saw fit. I think you could argue any one of these as being the greatest of all time. But for now, Roger Federer defeating Andy Roddick in the 2009 Wimbledon final, 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, 3-6, 16-14 in the 5th. I have been looking at that score for the last 16 years of my life, and it still does not look real. 16-14 in a 5th set of a major final. 4 hours and 17 minutes of unbelievable serving, unbelievable shot making. The two of them, some of the last serving and volley players that we will see in our lifetime, more than likely. Roger Federer stepping on court with 14 slams. This is his opportunity to surpass Pete Sampras and to reclaim the world number 1 ranking from Rafael Nadal. There was so much on this match. There was so much on the line coming into this match, so much on the line before these players even stepped on court. It adds to the drama. It adds to the allure of this match. It is so unbelievable. And you have to remember, you cannot excuse that 2nd set tiebreak. Roddick up a set. 2nd set tiebreak goes up 6-2. Loses 6 straight points to Roger Federer. Obvious, of course, famously misses that backhand volley that would have put him up 2-0 on Roger Federer in a Wimbledon final. Somehow maintains his composure after completely botching that 2nd set tiebreak, takes it to a 5th set. Not only does he take it to a 5th set, he goes toe-to-toe with the greatest of all time, and so loses, obviously, in the end, 14-16, but unbelievable. This is a championship record for most games played in a Grand Slam final. 30 games in that final set. Unbelievable. We are moving on to number 7, the 7th greatest tennis match of all time, according to George Carmi, is the 2005 Australian Open semifinal, where Marat Safin, on his birthday, defeats Roger Federer 5-7, 6-4, 5-7, 7-6, 9-7 in the fifth. Before we even get to the tennis, this is the coolest two people have ever looked on a tennis court. There's never been a tennis match where two people have looked cooler. It's just unbelievable. These dudes were battling, insane shot making, insane power. Safin on his birthday going toe-to-toe with Roger Federer. Keep in mind, this is the first major of 2005. Roger Federer had won 4 of the last 6 Grand Slams: 2003 Wimbledon, 2004 US Open, 2004 Wimbledon, and the 2004 Australian Open. He's won 4 of the last 6 majors. And Marat Safin, on his birthday, comes in and shuts him down in emphatic fashion, in a thrilling 5-set match. He goes down 2-1. He takes the 4th set in an impeccable tiebreak, 8-6, and then takes Roger fucking 16 games in the 5th set to beat him 9-7 on his birthday. Unbelievable. I've seen so many tennis highlights in my lifetime. I've come back to these extended highlights on YouTube the most. I love watching that match. It is just so unbelievable. The emotions from both the players. They're both there fighting. They're both there wanting to get to that final. Marat Safin, of course, goes on to win that title, claiming his 2nd major title. He beats Leighton Hewitt in the finals, 1-6, 6-3, 4-4. Just unbelievable. Marat Safin, one of my favorite players out there. It's hard to call him one of the best, but he is certainly one of my favorite tennis players out there. Into our top 6. At the number 6 spot, again, another tennis match I mentioned earlier. It is the 2009 Australian Open final. Rafael Nadal defeats Roger Federer 7-5, 3-6, 7-6, 3-6, 6-2. Now, I already made mention. This win is impressive, one, because this is Rafael Nadal on a hard court. At this point in his career, outside of the Olympic gold medal, he had not really proven himself on a hard court. He's come to Wimbledon the year prior in 2007 and in 2006. He's made it to the finals, grass court. He's obviously been a demon on clay at this point in his career, but he had not done too much on hard court at this point in his career. So to come to the Australian Open final, you're going up against Roger Federer. You're coming off of an insane 5-set grind against Fernando Verdasco, a match which you literally cried after because you were so physically in pain, and you beat him in 5 sets. It's one of the greatest showings of grit I've ever seen on a tennis court. It is one of the greatest showings of just pure heart I've seen on a tennis court. This man wanted that W. This man wanted to win that match, and he did at that point in his career become the first Spaniard, male or female, to win the Australian Open, and it is certainly one of the greatest tennis matches ever played. But here is where the list gets fun. We're getting into our top 5. The top 5 might have been the most impossible to rank among themselves. There are so many matches here that have tapped into my emotions, that have made me cry, that have just, some Australian Open matches that I've been, up at 2, 3, 4 a.m. crying for. Wimbledon matches that you'll see there. These are, in my opinion, the 5 greatest tennis matches of all time. The 5 highest quality tennis matches of all time. The best displays of shot making. The best displays of consistency and drama that I've ever seen in tennis. At the number 5 spot is that 2017 Australian Open final. Roger Federer coming after 6 months of being absent from the sport. Rafael Nadal, also in that final, after being absent from the sport for a couple of months, to produce one of the greatest tennis matches, in my mind, the 5th greatest tennis match of all time. Roger takes it 6-4, 3-6, 6-1, 3-6, 6-3. Roger's backhand, hitting it cleaner than I've ever seen him hit that thing in his entire life. Going down a break in the 5th, coming back, winning fucking 5 games straight to take that 5th set 6-3. Absolutely unbelievable. Roger was coming into this match having lost his previous 3 matches against Rafael Nadal. Rafa's head-to-head was obviously very, very strong against Roger at that point. 2017 slightly turned it around. Roger goes on to win the Australian Open, the Sunshine Double, and Wimbledon. So he has himself quite the year. And it's also unbelievable because this is the first time where Rafa was ranked 9th in the world at this point, and Roger was ranked 17th in the world at this point. But when you have 2 players like Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, it doesn't matter what little number is next to their name. At this point in their careers, they are the 2 greatest of all time. And this really felt like one last ride at the time. We know it's not one last ride. You know, they go to have an epic in Wimbledon in 2019. They go to play some more matches in 2017. You know, Rafa goes on to play through 2024. Fed retires in 2022. So they have 5+ more years in their bag. But at the time, especially coming off of that injury, this felt like one last ride. This was such an unbelievable tournament for Roger Federer. I know I'm gonna harp on this one for a while. He takes out his countryman Stan Wawrinka in 5 sets in the semifinal. He beats Nishikori in the 4th round in 5 sets. He takes out Tomas Berdych. He takes out Misha Zverev in the quarterfinals. He had an unbelievable run, unbelievable journey to get to this final. Same with Rafa on the other side. He beats Grigor Dimitrov in the semifinals, an unbelievable match against Dimitrov. He beats Gael Monfils in 4 sets. He beats Alexander Zverev in 5 sets. Both of them just playing tennis as if they're broke, playing tennis as if their rent is unbelievably due. And they get to the finals and they produce absolute magic. Such an unbelievable. I remember being up at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. watching this match, freaking out. So many shifts in power throughout this match. So many moments that had me jumping up and down off my couch. Just one of the most unbelievable tennis matches of all time. But we're getting to number 4. And this is going to be the most heartbreaking match to talk about as a Roger Federer fan, because it is the 2019 Wimbledon final. And Fed is my guy. Fed is my guy. Fed is who I think is my favorite athlete. Not I think, I know he is my favorite athlete of all time. Probably my favorite, like, famous person of all time, even across, like, movie stars and athletics or whatever. So this is a tough one to talk about. 2019 Wimbledon final. Novak Djokovic defeats Roger Federer 7-6, 1-6, 7-6, 4-6, 13-12. Of course, this match is famously called the War of 13-12, but even more famously, what brings tears to my eyes, even talking about it today, is that Roger Federer was up in that 5th set, 8-7, 40-15. Oh my goodness. Novak hits one of the greatest passing shots, one of the most ice in his veins passing shots you will ever see in your entire life, and then goes on to win 7-3 in that 5th set tiebreak. It is a 4-hour and 57-minute grind fest. It was the longest Wimbledon final. It was the last major final of Roger Federer's career. And he had lost in 2014 and 2015 in the Wimbledon finals to Novak Djokovic. Of course, he goes on to win Wimbledon in 2017, so he gets that 8th title. But man, this would have been such a beautiful ninth title for Roger Federer. But you have to give credit where credit is due. Not one human being on center court watching that tennis match, except for Novak Djokovic's players box, was rooting for Novak Djokovic in that match. He had everyone against him. All eyes were on Roger Federer. He just beat his rival, Rafael Nadal, in a fantastic semifinal match, winning 7-6, 1-6, 6-3, 6-4. All eyes were on Roger Federer. Could he do it? Could he go and win a ninth Wimbledon title? Could he go and win a 21st major title? Remember, this is 2019. At this point, only a couple of majors separated Novak, Roger, and Rafa. So every single major to them was so important. Every single major to them was as if they were fighting for their lives. And Novak did what he did. He did what he did. He ruined the rest of my 2019. He ruined my year. And I think about this match. I think about 8-7, 40-15 every single day of my life. And it is so heartbreaking. But let's move on before I start crying. We're getting into our top three. We're getting into the three greatest tennis matches of all time. At number 3, we're sticking with the Wimbledon final. Fire versus ice. It is Borg defeating McEnroe 1-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-7, 8-6. Two things of note immediately. That fourth set tiebreak, McEnroe winning 18-16. Remember, he was down 2-1 at this point. This man was playing lights out tennis, and Bjorn Borg was playing some of the most consistent, just two walls. It's like playing a wall, just two walls, just battling it out. McEnroe, he goes on to lose the match. He saved 7 championship points. That is unbelievable. I said it with Novak. I'm going to say it with McEnroe. That is unbelievable ice in your veins tennis. And if McEnroe had gone on to win this match after having saved 7 match points and winning that fourth set 18-16 in the tiebreak, we might be looking at this list a little differently. This might be atop that list. Top 2 seeds of the tournament. It's always fun. McEnroe's getting booed in center court. He's had heated exchanges with officials throughout this entire tournament, especially in that, insane semifinal match he had against Jimmy Connors, winning in a tight 4-set match. So he is, he's the bad boy. He's the bad boy of tennis at this point in his career. Bjorn Borg's coming in, just one of the most composed, ruthless baseline hitters you'll ever see in your life, and they produced magic, and it was an unbelievable tennis match. But now we're into our top 2. Number 2, what I consider to be the greatest Australian Open tennis match of all time, the 2012 Australian Open final. Novak Djokovic defeating Rafael Nadal 5-7, 6-4, 6-2, 6-7, 7-5. Holy shit. 5 hours and 53 minutes of just sheer gladiatorial tennis. Unbelievable display of baseline hitting. These are the 2 most consistent tennis players forever. Now, I was going to say in my lifetime, but no, they are the 2 most consistent tennis players of all time, producing, in my opinion, the second highest quality of tennis we will ever fucking see. Remember, at this point, Novak Djokovic was coming off of what some could consider to be the greatest season any man has ever had in 2011. He wins the Australian Open. He wins Wimbledon, defeating Rafael Nadal. He wins the U.S. Open, defeating Rafael Nadal. And he's coming into this Australian Open final playing Rafael Nadal. So Rafa's got a little chip on his shoulder. He's lost 2 straight major finals to Novak. Novak's coming in as the best tennis player in the world, and quite frankly, it wasn't even close at this point. He was the greatest tennis player in the world at that point. He's coming off of, and a lot of people forget this, he's coming off of a 5-set battle with Andy Murray. He beat Andy in the semifinals 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, 6-1, 7-5. Sorry, I misspoke. 6-3, 3-6, 6-7, 6-1, 7-5. So he's coming off of a grind of a tennis match, okay? And he still has enough in the tank to take Rafael Nadal 5 sets. And not only take him 5 sets, but beat him in their 3rd straight major final. Unbelievable, like I said, unbelievable gladiatorial tennis. Unbelievable. Rafa wins that 4th set in that emphatic tiebreaker, ends up on his knees. That is how much this match meant to him. And then Novak goes up that break in the 5th set. Rafa goes up a break in that 5th set. Novak breaks back almost immediately. And then, of course, that last game, incredible tennis, unbelievable tennis. Novak literally praying to God on the court for this match to just be over. And then, of course, that famous video of them in the trophy presentation. They couldn't even stand. They had to bring them chairs. They had to sit down during the trophy presentation. That is how fucking unbelievable that match was. That is how excruciatingly painful that tennis match was. Unbelievable shot making. Some of my favorite highlights to watch ever. But, you know, there could only be one top spot. There can only be one top spot. And I think at this point, you know, we've gone through this list. We have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 of the 9 revealed spots already, including Federer, Rafa, or Djokovic. You know, that's the era I grew up in. These are the matches I love to watch. These are the matches that have brought me the most emotions. So there's no doubt that I think you guys have guessed what that top spot is. And it is that 2008 Wimbledon final. Some of the best drama you will ever see on a tennis court. Rain delays. We're nearing the end of sunlight. So, you know, if this match had gone on another 5-10 minutes, they might have had to empty the stadiums and regroup on Monday. Unbelievable drama. Rafael Nadal defeats Roger Federer 6-4, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6, 9-7. Unbelievable. Rafa goes up 2 sets. He's coming off of back-to-back Wimbledon finals losses to Roger Federer in 06 and 07. He wants to solidify himself as the top dog in tennis. He's been number 2 to Roger for the past 4 years, but he wants it. He wants to solidify himself as the best tennis player in the world. Comes out swinging, goes up 2 sets quickly, 6-4, 6-4. I don't think Roger really thought that Rafa would come out swinging that hard. But it's Roger Federer. It's Roger Federer. And he's coming in as the 5-time defending champion. He's not going out in straight sets. He's not going out in 4 sets. That's Roger fucking Federer. That is the greatest grass court tennis player of all time. Takes that 3rd set tiebreak, 7-5. Takes that 4th set tiebreak, 10-8. 10-8. Winning 10-8 in that tiebreak. Rafa has a championship point in that tiebreak. And Fed hits the greatest passing shot on the backhand side you will ever see. Rafa goes on to win this match. But if Fed had gone on to win this match, we'd be looking at that backhand passing shot. And I know you guys know which one I'm talking about. But if Fed had got on to win this tennis match, we would be looking at that backhand passing shot as the single greatest shot in tennis. It still might be. But because he didn't win the match, you could argue it. But if he won that match, that's the greatest shot of all time. Of all time. But Rafa maintains that composure after Fed brings it back to 2 sets all and forcing a 5th set. And he takes it 9-7 in unbelievable fashion. I know a lot of people consider this to be the greatest tennis match of all time. it's for good reason. It really is. It's Roger Federer. It's Rafael Nadal, the two most iconic tennis players of all time. Federer at this point in his career, he's chasing Pete, but he's already, he hasn't eclipsed Pete at this point in major count, but he's already being regarded as the greatest tennis player of all time. People know what Rafael Nadal is capable of. At this point, he had won 4 straight French Open titles. He has that head-to-head edge over Roger Federer. So he's coming in and he's like, I want to prove myself. I've made the last 2 Wimbledon finals in 06 and 07. I got dogged in 06. I got, outplayed in 07, losing in a really tight 5-set battle. This is my time. This is my time. This is my turf. Steps onto that court, swinging. First 2 sets. Roger brings it back. 2 sets all. And then that 5th set, man. That 5th set, those are my favorite tennis highlights to watch. I watch that 5th set all the time. That is so unbelievable, the shot making, the quality of tennis in that 5th set. It is genuinely unbelievable. But there it is. That is my top 10 greatest tennis matches of all time. I know we kind of powered through that list. I think this episode is running at a little over a half hour. At number 10, Nadal defeating Verdasco, 2009 Australian Open semi. At number 9, Sampras defeating Agassi, 2001 U.S. Open. At number 8, Federer defeating Roddick in that incredible 2009 Wimbledon final. Number 7 is Marat Safin defeating Roger Federer on his birthday in the 2005 Australian Open semifinal. At number 6, we have Rafael Nadal defeating Roger Federer in that 2009 Australian Open final. At number 5, we have Roger Federer defeating Rafael Nadal at the 2017 Australian Open final. At number 4, I got Novak Djokovic defeating Roger Federer in the most heartbreaking tennis match of my life, that 2009 Wimbledon final. Number 3, 2 gladiators, Bjorn Borg defeating John McEnroe in the 1980 Wimbledon final. Number 2, 2 more gladiators going at it. Some of the best baseline tennis you'll ever see. 2012 Australian Open final, Novak Djokovic defeating Rafael Nadal. And what I consider to be the greatest tennis match of all time, Rafael Nadal defeating Roger Federer in that 2008 Wimbledon final, 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7. Also just, that's like the most aesthetically pleasing score line of all time. 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7. Unbelievable tennis matches. If you're new to tennis, I would check out the highlights to these matches. I really would. They are unbelievable displays of tennis. Some of the highest quality tennis matches you'll ever see in your life. But that'll do it, guys. I appreciate you guys stopping in. I appreciate you guys checking out my channel, checking out the first long-form YouTube video, the first official long-form YouTube video on my YouTube channel. If you guys like this video and you want more, like, comment, subscribe, share. Like I said, I'm going to try post more long-form content videos here and there. I'm not going to make any promises to how often. Like I said, it's mostly a time constraint thing at this point, but I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best. I enjoyed, I'm a little nervous right now. If you can't tell, I'm talking fast. I'm a little jittery. I'm a little sweaty. But I do enjoy this. I do enjoy just coming on here and yapping about things that excite me. And tennis obviously very much excites me. So appreciate you guys stopping by, and, I'll see you whenever.